So dancehall singjay Shaneil Muir has announced her intention to baptize, and while all come to Jesus moments aren't the same, it really made me think of Minister Marion Hall, formerly Lady Saw. Let me explain. Shaneil's announcement comes a few days after claiming her former business manager failed to send her the full deposits from future gigs so she could file her taxes under her registered business. Now, the issue of securing contracts and money management are common in the entertainment industry, right? Dare I say, it's a rite of passage for artists to be exploited out of their finances at some point in their career. But what made this decision strikingly different was that it wasn't just Shaneil venting about this man allegedly hogging her money and paying himself for gigs yet to happen. It was a cry for help almost. She looked frustrated and voiced her unhappiness operating in the business of music. She wanted out for her own peace of mind because she felt like a crazy lady. She wasn't even able to create, to write songs. All of this really spilled over into her personal life, and I found it interesting that she said she had asked this person to stop taking gigs because she wanted a break to get her team together, to get herself to a better mental place. Like, she wasn't well, and the alleged issue with the former manager, to me, signaled the straw that broke the camel's back, and she just said, "Peace out, y'all." Now, before I add the Lady Saw analogy, let's really get into how Shaneil got to this point. Shaneil, who is a daughter of St. James soil, made her major performance debut in 2016 as a contestant of the now-defunct Magnum Kings and Queens of Dancehall television show. She placed in the top 10 and formed a relationship with Good Good Productions after being eliminated, leading to her song, Proud Side Chick. But then, she migrated to the States to live with her family, and the music was placed on the back burner because there were a lot of things happening. She was getting acclimated to a new environment, she was dealing with family loss, she was going back to school, working 2 jobs. Like, Shorty was doing a lot.
I almost lost hope. I wasn't interested in doing music, and I had turned my life over in a spiritual term. I just needed that inner peace, that inner comfort. I didn't give up on music completely. I still had a little piece of hope left, a little piece of faith left to push me forward. But I needed to get through that phase. I needed to understand what I wanted in life, and I needed to know where I was going from there.
From this 2020 onstage interview, we hear that she's always been spiritual, and she, like a post I will share later, had become a Christian. She was working the graveyard shift as a night auditor at the Hilton Hotel when the world was plunged into a COVID-19 lockdown, and she was laid off. Instagram became the new hangout spot, and she started going live singing her music. At first, there were double digits watching, and it steadily grew, and it was on Instagram Live where she premiered Yamabella, produced by her longtime collaborator Pappy Don Music and Top Braff Entertainment. Thanks to the advent of screen recording and dope lyrics about living in one's truth instead of yielding to societal pressures, the song went viral. Every now and then a female artist rises above the cliche representation of women in dancehall with fresh concepts, brilliant songwriting, vocal versatility, and an unapologetic, profound sense of self. And Shaneil Muir was all of that. She represented a refreshing triple threat. She sang, she rapped, she DJ'd, and really restored the faith in the future of Jamaican popular music. So the song took off, and she linked up back with Good Good Productions and signed a recording deal with them. After 17 months of working together, they announced they were parting ways and that the split was amicable, and Shaneil rolled out her own company, Top Gal Entertainment. That leads us to December 2021 when Shaneil said she started working with her former business manager. Enter Lady Saw. Shaneil's situation, as she described it, reminds me of Lady Saw's because essentially they both faced contention in the music industry which was beginning to affect their personal lives. In Lady Saw's case, she'd go on stage and rip it up. But when she went home and closed the door, she felt nasty, she felt disgusting, she repelled herself at what she had to do as a performer to make money. So she was battling with that and she was tormented. Her unhappiness grew because of contention and infighting with other women in the space like Spice. So many people wanted to run her out of dancehall using ageism, using obvious claims, throwing around the word bad mind, a bunch of things. And it really took a toll on her. This is somebody who had reached the top of the industry. She had all the money, she had the fame, she had the luxurious experiences, but it never brought her peace. And the straw that broke the camel's back was her being at J. Capri's funeral, rest in peace to J. Capri, and realizing through God that this could easily be me. and do I want to risk living how I'm living now and to suddenly die without giving my life to God? And so she made that decision. She got baptized, and she's now Minister Marion Hall, having been ordained as an evangelist a few years ago. Now, in Shaneil's case, the contention, as far as we know, came from someone allegedly trying to ruin her reputation behind the scenes and holding on to her money. She said for a whole week, she was waking up, asking this man to send her the deposits, and it became so routine. She felt like a mad person because she wasn't getting anywhere. And then we have to remember she was already mentally vulnerable because she wanted a break, and that wasn't granted to her. So she was grossly unhappy and over it. Of course, the other similarity I noticed was that both women were always spiritual. They were always referencing God. Sometimes people make it seem as if you're not a baptized Christian, you have no inkling of how good God is, or you have no relationship with Him. When sometimes the people who have not baptized have better relationships with God than those in church every Sunday. But I digress. So the notion of Shaneil baptizing isn't strange because she had made that decision years ago, and she's no stranger to God. There are mixed feelings about her decision to baptize, which is weird to me because it's her decision. Some people believe she won't be able to thrive financially by becoming a soldier for Christ, and it's a real belief that cripples many from making that decision to give their life to God, which is unfortunate to me because you can have financial freedom and be empty, unhappy, and tormented. Mr. Vegas was recently sharing his experience and saying when he was in the church some years ago, people wanted him to work for free or pay him far less than what he was used to. But in his case, he had a catalog he could live on, so he was prepared, so to speak, for that financial fallout. He added that Shaneil shouldn't have announced her upcoming or intended baptism because people are going to hold her to it and basically watch her every move if she slips up, which sounds like human nature, People can be like that. But again, people pointing fingers are usually the ones leading miserable, despicable lives. So it's her decision. Your relationship with Christ is a personal one, period. It's nobody's business. So once she has that conviction, I'll support it. She said she'll be honoring her current show dates and will be baptizing after fulfilling her final obligation in early 2023. But you know what? If she doesn't have that conviction after her last performance obligation, I'll still support her. The important thing is for her to be at peace and not collapsing or suffering from distress because of her job or elements of her job. Because at the end of the day, if she withers away because of this industry, they'll forget her in a matter of no time after a couple of hashtags and replace her. So she just has to put herself first. I also identify an alarming difference between male artists who baptize versus women. There isn't that pressure on them to be this Puritan. No shade, but Kevin Downswell can walk around here performing in pants tighter than my underwear. But if Minister Marion Hall wears a V-neck blouse, she's suddenly a heathen. She suddenly doesn't love God. Lieutenant Stitchie can do BBC One Extra and sing his dancehall catalogue, and he's hailed as the great Stitchie, the dancehall giant, respectfully so. But if Minister Marion Hall did that with her clean catalogue, let's say a song like Infidelity, she'd be called a flip-flopper, a backslider. So there's this double standard when it comes to female artists who baptize, which is unfortunately a microscope Shaneil will live under if she proceeds with her decision. In any case, I'm sending her love. She's someone I've interviewed a few times, and the impression I got was a real, sweet, genuine person who is just passionate about music and grateful to God and her fans for her success. And perhaps she just didn't bargain for all the mess that comes with the business of music. It's definitely a time to lift her up, and surely a reminder of how important it is to cater to our mental health and don't compromise that for a job or person. What are your thoughts on the situation? Meet me in the comments. Until next time, like and subscribe if you dig the vibe, and share this video with your tribe.